What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the Adventure in the Backyard. So today I spent the day digging up a few trees. Um, First one I'm going to show you is this little single point holly that I was able to dig up out of someone's yard. They were redoing the landscaping, and so I was able to dig this one out. It has most of the soil left in it. But we're going to clean up some of these roots and see if we can't get it into a pot. So, there we have the tree. About like that. Probably wind up being a informal upright. Either like that, or maybe around this way. We'll see what it looks like down low. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clear up most of these long, heavy roots that don't have any fine roots on them. It's got some pretty decent fine rootage up and close to the trunk. So I can come in, scrape a little bit of the soil away. I don't want to go in real hard with it because it definitely got pruned real good. But I do want to be able to find the Nabari. Right now it's a double trunk. I probably will keep it like that and grow this out. Probably go ahead and chop that. Keep this as our leader. That way we can bend that how we want to. Kind of maybe bring it back along parallel to this one. Or bring it in like that and then kick it back out. It's probably what we'll wind up doing. But what I really want to do is get these roots cleaned up. So especially out here, anything that's outside of the come in, make sure that we're not taking off any fine feeder roots. We'll come in, kind of flat cut them so that we can come in and look at the bottom first. Take off any of these big heavy roots that we can, bit like the taproot. Get as much of this off as we can. It's a pretty loose soil that was in his yard, so go ahead, clean out what we can. Any of y'all know what this is? It is a little preview of what is coming next. But that's a root from a different tree. Now most of this I want to keep. Well, not that. So we've got some feeder roots on here. I do have a couple of crossing roots that I need to go ahead and take care of. This one's actually coming from up underneath, so I'll take the whole thing off. That right there. You can see this one is actually crossing over, and I want to keep this one. So we'll actually come in and take that off right there. And then come in from underneath and snip off as best we can. We don't want to hurt this root right here. Clip that. So about like that. And then we'll come in here. See if I can't take this off. I'm gonna have to go get my my big set. I'll be right back.
Aha!
This one must have gotten broken while we were digging it. I've got this root coming out here from the base, so we can come in here from the top. Take that off. Not that deep. We don't have a whole lot coming off the back right here. We do have this one that we can develop. We can make sure that stays down low. Is this going to fit in a pond basket? Not really. Also not really. Any of these that don't have any fine feeder roots on them, we're going to go ahead and flat cut. That will have to do. I don't want to take off any more roots. That's basically all the roots. But none of it was fine feeder roots. I left everything that has a fine feeder root on it. Cut back these that had fine feeder roots to where the roots are coming from. So we need to get this in some soil. Now actually, because of what we did, it will fit in that pond basket. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bury it fairly deeply, so I don't have to worry about tying it in. I'll tie from top of the basket to the tree instead of tying the roots down, because there's not really a whole lot of roots. And so what I have here is just a organic mix. It is my normal mix of 1 part topsoil to a 1 part of my mushroom compost cow manure blend. And so we'll bring this in. Because we're putting it in this pond basket, these roots will self-layer. They'll also get a lot more oxygen down into the soil. But that pumice is there just to kind of aerate it, make sure that it stays pretty open. Now that shouldn't move a whole lot. Probably don't even need to tie it in. It'll be out of the wind. I'll keep it in my carport for most of the next month or so. We'll look and see if it starts to bud out. But yeah, so probably about right there. There. Probably this side. This had the better root spread up front. And there's a knot right here from our former pruning. So hopefully that will, this will be our front. We'll have our first directional branch here. Our second trunk will be coming right up here. We'll bring this over this way and then kick it out that way or something, maybe like that. This will probably get cut off. We'll see if it back buds down there. But like I said, it's a holly, so it'll back bud pretty much everywhere there's a little dot. And yeah, so that's number one. And then we have number two. You can't even see all of it. It's right there. This is actually a wisteria. So if you saw that other root and recognized what it was, that is this. So it's a wisteria. It's got a couple of little whips going up. The buds are starting to break. So it's a good thing we got it when we did. Let's go ahead and untie this. Both of these were growing in a lot looser soil. Yes, I said both. I've got one more to show you, and it's a doozy. So this one, if I can get it untied. What I'll probably wind up doing is either planting it upright like that, or how it was growing in the ground. It's about like that, and we'll have a nice little cascade. This is probably the front of it. Let me back up so you can actually see. I mean, this thing is huge. It's from there to there, probably 4 feet or so. This will obviously get shortened back eventually a little bit, where I could maybe train it down some into more of a full cascade. This one we might be able to twist up. This one's probably going to have to go or get shortened back pretty heavily to back like right here. And then we can kind of train these guys that are from last year. And so now with this, I guess I can set this up there. It'll kind of sit. We're going to come in here and do the same thing. Anywhere there is pretty bad root damage from where we dug it out of the ground, I'm going to come back in. Come back in. And so if we're going to have our planting angle as that, I want to come in fairly close and cut it flat. And same thing here. Again, we're looking for any fine feeder roots that are coming off of this one. I'm not seeing any. Well, there's a few smaller ones down here that we can go ahead and keep. So we'll cut it off. Oh, there's a spot where it got damaged, so no, we're gonna have to go up a little bit further. Oh no. Grab my actual root pruners. So this one we will shorten back to right there. This one out here, no real fibrous roots on it, so we can actually come in, cut this one way back to here, and again we'll flat cut it about like that. We'll come back here and trim it back. As soon as we develop some more roots along here, I can come up and clean up all of this nabari, or clean up what will eventually become nabari. But I don't want to take off too many roots. As it is, let me go get the pot that I got for it. And that should be good. I'd be able to bury it fairly deep. So we pot in like that. Let this recover over the next year or so. But I mean, yeah, that's just ridiculous. Something I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to drill out some drainage holes for this one, which I forgot about. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. We're just trying to get rid of all of the air pockets down up under the roots. We don't want any of them to die off because, I mean, it's lost a lot of root mass. You can use your fingers, you can use an old wisteria root, or you can get a chopstick out. But because this is curved, it helps push up underneath it a little bit. We don't want to compact the soil too much, but we just want to make sure that all of those roots are fully in contact with soil. So that's number 2. For number 3, I'm not real sure where to do it. I guess we're going to go set up in the carport, because this one won't fit on my bench. So I'll see y'all in just a second. Alright, if y'all remember this pot, this is the one that I put that white mulberry in, the little sumo chunk that we just chopped in about a month ago. I had to take it out. I'm going to be repotting that one. It'll probably be my next video. But I had to do that because this is the other tree. You still can't see it all, can you? So it goes all the way up there. It's probably, well, let's find out. So yeah, big giant wisteria. This one's gonna be a pain. So yeah, we'll be potting this one up. This one's probably gonna wind up being a slant style bonsai. So yeah, this one's probably gonna wind up being a slant style bonsai. Get it out of the plastic bag and the burlap. So we've got a much better, we've got a lot more feeder roots down here than we did on the other wisteria. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, clean up anything that's growing upwards. Well, first we need to figure out what the planting angle is going to be. Probably about like that. Yeah. So this is a big tree. It was originally growing that direction, like that. But I think that if we bring this over a little bit, although you lose out a lot of the girth on that trunk because it's a very flat, it was growing up along a tree here with the tree coming up and then up through these two top vines. So I'm going to have to figure out how I want to plant this. Make sure that I don't take off roots that I want to keep. That one's going to go. So this one I might need to actually come in with a sawzall right there. So we lost a good bit of that one. All right, so we can either plant it this way, or we can plant it more as an informal upright. Maybe like that. But the key thing is we're going to need to get this thing in the dirt as soon as we can. So I think we'll probably wind up like that. So if we take this one off, that should actually be pretty good. This will come off. That bottom one will come off. Okay, where were we? This is what we were talking about. Now, so a lot of these are only really going to do us good while we are. I know this one's coming off because it broke. I need to shorten both of these back. This one's growing straight up no matter how we pot it. And it doesn't have a whole lot on it as far as feeder roots go. So we'll just snip that off. This doesn't really have, it's got one little tiny feeder root, two little tiny feeder roots. The rest of it's coming back to here. So I actually come in cut that back like that. Like that. This is an air root, or it was a root. So this one, there's nothing on it. It does scrape green, so it's still alive, but I don't think I want it. And there's nothing on it right now, so I might as well go ahead take it off as close as I can. And this one, we can do the same thing. Like that. I've got two more air roots. So if we go like that, it actually fits in here fairly flat. And what I'll do is I'll put a wood brace in here to kind of hold it up. And what I was thinking is bringing this one down and around a little bit and let the rest of it come up. And then the rest of this is all going to have to get wired out. But yeah, I think that is what we are looking at. Let me go ahead, get this out. And like I said, this is that pond, fish pond that I drilled a bunch of holes in everywhere, that I planted that white mulberry in. And again, I'm going to come in here, put a good layer of soil down all along the bottom. Again, it's that same compost mixture. This has a little bit more grit in it, a little bit more of the pumice. I like that. Make sure we get all of these roots that we can down below the soil line. This has nothing on it. That has nothing on it. That's just a big lignified root. No fine feeder roots. Because all of these root tips got cut, it should push new roots. I mean, it's a wisteria. These things will grow from root cuttings. I could take half of these roots and plant them in a pot, and I'd have more wisteria in about 3 weeks. Well, a little bit longer than that, because it's right now it is March the 9th. So about by middle of April, I would have green shoots coming up out of the ground from where I buried the roots. We want to just make sure that we get these roots all covered up. We want to make sure there are no air pockets again. Because of the size of these roots, I can just take my fingers, push down into the soil, make sure we get up underneath the tree as well, because we want stuff growing there. And again, because we drilled all those holes in this pond, this will self-layer. The roots will self-layer, I should say. And we should get some nice even roots. And there we go. Let's see here. Got a little piece of 3.5. And it's self-staining. Perfect. I think I might actually be here today. That's what we're going to have to do for right now. Come back in here, make sure we've got all of the roots covered. Grab one more piece of wire. I know I have it. There we go. All tied in. I'm going to take this over to where it's going to be living, and I will see y'all over there with all 3 trees. We'll go ahead and get these watered in where they're going to be sitting for a while. yeah, today I'm going to be pulling out this azalea. It's a native azalea. It's got a whole bunch of trunks down there. We're going to try and thin this out a little bit, but we're going to dig this up. I'm going to kind of show you what I did when I pulled up those two wisteria and the holly. And it's pretty simple. And you just come out here to about as big as you want the root ball. Generally that's going to be right where the edge of your branches are. It's called the drip line, so that's where the rain drips down off the sides of the tree, and that's really where your biggest branch or biggest roots are going to be. So we're just going to go dig a little trench all the way around it, and then we're going to try and find some of the bigger roots and cut those so that we're not like tearing through them with this shovel. Right. So I'll speed this up, dig this out, and show you what I did. Now if you look down in here, this one's got a lot more fine roots, and that's because over the last year I went and every other month or so I would come in here and basically take my shovel and, just like I started this one, just go down around about a quarter of it, and then a month and a half or 2 months later I'd go the next quarter, and then the next quarter, and then the next quarter, just to kind of break some of these. You can see them here, some of these bigger roots, and that just forced the azalea to put out new feeder roots. I mean, this thing is full of little small roots. Mainly what I'm doing right now is coming in here and getting out as much of this ground soil as I can, just to make it lighter. And some of these will actually come apart because they're separate trees, they're separate plants. Like you can see that one moving pretty easily. So that's azalea number 1. Grab my trusty cart. And anything with interesting trunk lines, I'm just pulling out. If they make it, they make it. If they don't, they don't. But basically what I'm going to be doing is cutting all the way back to this single stump right here. This may take a couple of years to do. I say as I go back in with the root rig. But it's just knocking out anything that's loose right around here. Yeah, I got all the way around it. So I will meet y'all over in the carport, and we'll be putting this into a pot. So there we have it. We're all packed in. There's a few spots where roots are popping up, but I kept most of the root ball intact, so that shouldn't be a problem. And so what eventually we're going to wind up with is this trunk coming up this way, probably going over there. So it'll take us a couple of years to get that whittled back to just one stump and figure out where down in the soil it starts. We'll let this one grow out here in this pot for at least this year, maybe next year as well, and then repot in a couple of years. Once this has had time to settle into the pot, I will come in and do my first major pruning, and I will let y'all know what that looks like when we do it. So those are the 3 plants that I got today. We've got the little cascade wisteria. It's like 4 feet long. Then we have the holly, which is about probably 3.5 inches around. And then we have the big monster wisteria that eventually, once I find a pot for it and the roots become established, we'll tilt it over a little bit more. Either this way or the other way. We could run it as a slant style or a semi-cascade. Since I got this one as a cascade, I probably will do a slant style, so we'll tilt it back the other way. But yeah, I mean, this thing, all 3 of these, plus we dug up 3 trees for my buddy. And I mean, just really, really fun stuff. Going out, digging up some trees. I've got a couple of more things that I need to dig, either tomorrow or the next day. But yeah, this has been a fun time. Over here, they'll get about an hour of morning sun, and then the sun goes back behind the carport, and might get a little bit of afternoon sun, but by the time that happens, or by the time it gets a little too hot for them to have afternoon sun, it won't matter anyway. They'll be established in those pots, and they should be growing. They'll stay over here in the shade for about 2 months, so until my birthday. They'll be over here, and then eventually I may move them over by the potting bench, or I may just move them to the other side of the carport where they'll get basically full sun. Because especially with these wisteria, I don't want them on the ground, so they would actually have to go up on the bench, because I don't want wisteria roots going down, running all over the place, and covering my entire backyard with wisteria vines. I've seen the aftermath of what that can do over at my buddy's house, and I don't need that problem. I've got enough problem with the ivy in the back. So yeah, that's those three. So until the next time I see y'all out at the bench in the backyard, just remember to grow them big, but keep them small.